Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to your Monday night at 6:30. The women's show is on. My name is Brian, the host, and I am joined tonight by Alan and Wolf. Alan, how are we?
I'm not too bad. Thanks, Brian. Feeling a lot better after being a wee bit under the weather last week. So Rangers cheered me up over the weekend, and it's a good start to the week.
Absolutely. Wolf, long time no speak.
It must be all the 3/4 of an hour, Brian. Yep, absolutely. For those that didn't catch it live at 5, myself, Brian and Martin, it was quite good. That's Brian and Martin, not Brian Martin, the former Motherwell player.
Absolutely. Yes, folks, this is 6:30 on a Monday night. This is where you catch all the Rangers women's football on the Rangers Rabble. If you want to join, there's the button at the below. All the links are there. If there's plenty of tiers to suit your needs. So if you want to join and get extra content, it's all down below for you. But Alan, was it a strange game, wasn't it? After we'll go into the game in a bit more, but they were down to 10 men early doors and we get a couple of goals and you think, right, we're going to put a few past them, but that was anything but the outcome, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to see us really have killed that game and made a big statement, but if it wasn't for a couple of pretty poor misses, that score could have looked very different. I think we did have chances, but as Will said at the game yesterday, was expecting it to be like the Alamo towards the Hibs goal, and it never quite materialised. I think we played well within ourselves, and that was a wee bit frustrating. You've got the opportunity to probably go for a kill like we did in the cup final last year against Hibs, but I shouldn't be lost in the fact that's the first time in 6 games we've beat Hibs in the league. So for players mentally, we need to see him get these monkeys off our back, and that was the biggest outcome of yesterday. I think getting that sort of monkey off the back with 3 points.
Yeah, well, it was, as I said to Alan there, we scored the 2 early goals and you kind of think, right, let's go push on and get 3, 4, maybe more. But yeah, it was a strange one. Against 10 men, you're thinking, as Alan says, put them to the sword and make the game safe. But that was the last thing that happened, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think as Alan says, it's the first time in about 6 games we've beat Hibs, and I think it's preying on their mind that they've thrown away 2 goal leads against Hibs again in the recent past, and that must be psychologically in the back of their mind. I mean, we were expecting a cavalry charge in the second half, and we didn't. I mean, much as we did play within ourselves, we missed 2 or 3 absolutely glorious chances. I mean, there was one that in the second half that Laura Berry was the side of just the sort of side of the 6-yard box, trying to curl it into the corner and nailing it out for a throw. I mean? Yeah. She just caught it all wrong. I mean? Then she had another chance. She tried to dink it over the keeper and dink it over the bar, and Quinty put one past the post, and there was a couple in the first half, and Mia hit the post early doors when it was still 11 aside. You know what I mean? And we had the chances, we just didn't take. On another day, we would have won by 4 or 5 quite handily, without trying too hard, because Hibs didn't offer much. But then, you've got a silly mistake with the goalkeeper in stoppage time, and then there's still enough time for Hibs to launch the ball into the box. And I looked at Alan and said, we've seen this before. You know what I mean? Just take somebody to slip, or the ref to make a bad decision, give away a penalty, and it could end up all wrong. But at the end of the day, it's 3 points, as the title says, it's 3 points and up the road.
Absolutely. So the starting lineup yesterday was Jenna Fife in goals, Nick Dock, Laura Rafferty, Jess Pegram, Ellie Austin, May Croft, Jodie McCleary, Mia McCauley, Shin Ji Kim, Laura Berry and Katie Wilkinson. I mean, Alan, it was pretty much that was going to be the team, wasn't it? There wasn't really. I mean, there might have been, maybe you could have claimed, Shabaju's played from the start recently. Maybe she would, but that was a team that picked itself, wasn't it?
Yeah, it usually seems to be a case it's either Quinty or Shinji, and that time it was Shinji that played. Good to see Jess back and available, and a big boost to see Leah Eddy back in the bench as well. Probably, we were talking just before we started, a bit the strongest the squad's looked at for quite some time, and we're still waiting and getting some more players back and some more options. But unsurprising team. You expected. Now you're getting Maycroft back in the team for these big games. She's only 10 years old, but you expect her playing in these games. As much as we'll manage our minutes over the course of the season, you're expecting to see May turn up and play in these games.
Yeah, I mean, we'll speak about May later on in the programme, but as you said, as Alan just said, Jess Pegram was back in the team, and then Leah Eddy came off the bench. So the injuries seem to be easing in the respect that we're getting players back, back from injury. Jess was out for a wee while. Leah Eddy's been out for a good while, so it's nice to see them back in the squad playing and coming off the bench. And Leah, it'll just take time for Leah to build the fitness up again, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, Jess was missing last week. We've got no idea why. She might just have been rested, given a rest because it was, with the greatest of respect, it was only Kilmarnock in the cup. Yeah. That's possibly why Jess. We don't know if there maybe was a wee niggle, but it was good that we could give her a rest. It was great to see her back in the starting lineup because obviously, Kathy Hill's blighted with her injury problem, so we can't really rely on her being about the team all the time. So it's great to see Jess back, and Jess and Laura Rafferty seem to play really well together. They seem to do, they seem to have a good understanding, and the defence looked quite solid until the late wicket, which you can't really blame the defence for. But yeah, it was a comfortable win, although we were hanging on at the end, which sounds a bit contrary. But it's good to see quite a strong bench. We were commenting on that yesterday before the game as well. Nice to see quite a strong bench, having some options of players to bring on. I'd like this to be. I think Leah might have got a bit more game time had we been a bit more comfortable, because she got the last 10 minutes and we were still only 2-0 up. I think if we'd gone 3 or 4 up with half an hour to go, they might have brought Leah on a bit earlier. But I mean, it's great to see her back. Great to see her back on the pitch. Great to see Khalees Brookshire get another 25 minutes. And as Alan touched on, Quinty and Shinji seem to sort of swap roles. But I mean, Shinji managed the 90 minutes, which I was delighted about. I thought she was fantastic yesterday. I know Ailey Austin got player of the match in the stadium, which I know Alan was quite pleased with that. He thought she deserved that. For me, I thought Shinji was absolutely brilliant. It would have been Maycroft, I think, but she was taken off with 25 minutes to go. So to me, you can't really give her player of the match. She only played 2/3 of it. But it's good to see these players putting in performances like that, even if there's not particularly an end product on the scoreline. I mean, had it finished 2-0, we'd probably all have been quite satisfied. The fact it was 2-1 was a bit. The last sort of minute we were hanging on was a wee bit sort of, because we've seen that before. But as Alan said, it's the first time we beat Hibs in 6 league games, although we destroyed them in the League Cup final last year. So long may it continue.
Absolutely. And Alan, took a while for the game to sort of catch light. Mia hit the post with a header, a couple other chances, but the real talking point of that first half was obviously the red card in the half-hour mark. Kirsten Redley getting sent a straight red. I mean, that's an unusual thing in the women's game to get a straight red, but the referee had no hesitation, did she, Alan? You said she went straight to her back pocket, and that was the end of her game.
Brian, before Alan jumps in, see when Mia hit the post, both Alan was sitting with Alan and Demi, and they both had Mia to score first on the women's supporters group predictor, and the two of them were up celebrating the fact they'd got the points as the first goal scorer as the ball came back off the post.
Absolutely, but yeah, Alan, it caught fire in the half-hour mark, didn't it? It's straight red, unusual in the ladies' game, but yeah, it was a straight red.
Yeah, it looked a very, very heavy tackle at the time, and as soon as the ref ran over and went straight to her back pocket, I thought, here we go. That's maybe worse than it looked. And by all accounts, saying people that have watched it on the telly say it was a straight red, a really, really bad tackle. And listen, I'm just thankful that we've not suffered an injury out of that, and Laura Berry continued. But it certainly gave us advantage. I think we had probably the best of the game up to that point, but a couple of really bad misses. Joking aside about won the points and the predictor, I've no idea how Mia's missed that header at the back post, and you can see it probably affected her for for the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes. She was clearly frustrated by that. You know, much like Laura Berry's always frustrated when she's missing chances. You know, these players want to impact games. You know, they almost take it personally if they miss or they make a bad pass or something. Which, listen, I can't be too upset by seeing that sort of mentality.
Yeah, I mean, Wolf, I don't think the tackle was particularly. There was a lot of malice in it. I think it was more clumsy, wasn't it? It was just a mistimed challenge, as I say, but it was high. It was in her knee, so there was no option, was there?
Well, as JD says, there wasn't a lot of force in it, but it was dangerous. I mean, she caught her on the knee, and it's a red card. By the looks of the game, it's a red card. I mean, she complained about it on the way off, and even one of the coaches in the Hibs dugout pointed at her knee and went, "You got her on the knee." I mean, you can't do that. I mean, I was at an under 18s, an under 19s game at Foundation Park against Dundee United earlier this season. And the Dundee United player got sent off for exactly the same challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly the same challenge. Caught him because I spoke because I know the guy that was refereeing it, and I went, I missed him getting him with the challenge, and I said, did he say something? He says, he caught him right on the knee. It's a red card. So. Yeah. No, it's a red card. The way the challenge, she was unlucky. Kirsten Riley was unlucky, but she was high. It was late. With no malice in it at all. Absolutely no malice in it at all. But the referee did well just to put her off, and it was a red card, straight red card. No questions asked. But I mean, Hibs didn't fold after that. Credit to them, they didn't fold after that.
No, they didn't. No, they stuck to their task very well. And our very own Andrew, Andrew, has gifted 5 Rangers Rabble memberships into the chat. Thank you very much, Andrew. Much appreciated. As I say, hope whoever got the 5 gifted memberships enjoys the rest of the content they've been given. So yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. Much appreciated. Alan, 10 minutes later, it took to get the lead. Ailey Austin down the right-hand side, low cross into the box, and Katie Wilkinson in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, there was a lot of bodies in the box. It was hard to actually see who'd got the final touch, but you know, when they ran away celebrating, then they announced it was Katie. You know, we knew who it was, but good work again down the right-hand side by Ailey. I think we'd been knocking on the door for most of the first half, so it was good that we finally managed to get one over the line. I think Schumacher had a good game in goals for Hibs, as you'd expect, but Hibs are never going to be particularly easy to break down, and it was just testament to the fact that we just kept going and not getting too frustrated that we weren't finishing chances. And you know that it's always going to be a threat down the right hand side when Ailey's on the wing. She's always wanting to go forward. She's always want to get the ball in the box or take shots on herself, which she did a couple of times. But another good delivery, really hard for defenders to defend against, and you know Katie Wilkinson's going to sniff out the chances and finish him.
Absolutely. And before we go any further, James Butler, as a new member, is joined. Thank you very much, James. Much appreciated. Hope you enjoy all the content that comes with being a member. And we have Douglas Nicholl as well, joined as a member as well. So Douglas, hope you enjoy all the extra content that's coming with being a member. So thank you very much, gents. Much appreciated. Wolf, the star you thought was maybe nearly man of the match if she wasn't sub, May Cruft. Lovely jinking at the edge of the box, gets it on her left foot, and a lovely finish into the back of the net. And what a player she is.
Brian, if she lasted about 80 minutes, she'd have got player of the match just for that goal. It was a fantastic. I mean, it was a fantastic thing. Great ball in from Shinji Kim, but there was no danger. I mean, she was 25 yards out, no danger at all. And then she sort of turned the Hibs defender, shimmied a little bit, and then she didn't even hit it hard because she didn't have to. You know what I mean? And it just sort of rolled past Schumacher, and it was a great goal. And it was right on half time as well. You know, I mean, it was a great time to score the second goal. The way the second half went, the fact that we went into nothing up possibly led to the way the second half went. Had we going to one up, we might have been a bit more at it in the second half and a bit more clinical. But you can't argue it was a great goal. I mean, I would have given May player of the match for that had she lasted a bit longer, simply for that goal. It's a terrific finish. And again, as you see every week, anybody that's not watched the highlights, they're urgent to track down the highlights on either the women's social media or on the Rangers TV pages and YouTube or whatever. Because just for May's goal, it's an absolutely fantastic finish. She really is a talent. We'll do very, very well to keep hold of her, but thankfully we've got her on a 3-year contract, which is just not that long ago. So I'd like to think if and when we sell her, and we're going to, we'll get a few quid for her. Because let's be honest, much as we'd like to keep her, right? She's got international aspirations. I mean, she already plays for England under 16. She'll have aspirations to play to eventually become a Lioness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she'll probably need to go to a bigger and better league for that, I would imagine. But let's just enjoy her while we've got her, because she's an absolutely prodigious talent.
Yeah, can't totally agree. As I say, for her age, her maturity, I think she's a wee star in the making. Absolutely, can't totally agree. And then in the second half, I mean, we had a couple of subs. You know, we had Maycroft and Mia McCauley coming off 67th minute. Brookshire coming on and Quinty Sabaggio coming on. Was it a bit of a mess second half where you were expecting a bit better and it just didn't turn out that way?
I think it was just more of the same than the first half. We kept pushing, we kept prodding, we kept trying to find the gaps, and obviously we're playing against 10. There was slightly more gaps, but credit to Hibs, they're a fantastically well organised team. You know that they're no champions for nothing, and you know they've obviously lost a manager, but Joel Murray stepped up and you know knows Hibs inside out. But you know they're in a tough spot right now where they're out of this league race. They've lost a manager. We'll see in the fullness of the next 2 weeks where we'll lose any players, but you know they're not going to just lie down to let us batter him. So we had to work really hard. I thought we kept pressing. We made chances, but I was surprised it took to, as you say, the 67th minute before we made some changes, because the game really should have been dead long before then with the 2-goal cushion, and I'm surprised we didn't move earlier to freshen the team up, looking ahead to the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, do you share that in the sense that, you know, we're only just getting numbers back in the squad, you know, injuries and a couple of Brookshire and a few loans coming back as well. We'll speak about that in a bit. But, you know, would it have been, do you think that subs came a little bit too late in the sense that, you know, if they'd happened earlier, it might have freshened the team and got a bit more industrious sort of players on the pitch?
I would have expected the changes slightly earlier. I would have thought probably after an hour, so 7 or 8 minutes earlier. You know, I would have thought that would have been in Leanne's head. Say, well, we'll give, you know, means we'll give Khalees Brookshire a good half hour on the pitch, you know, rather than giving her what she got, you know, or you know, and Quinty as well. I mean, because you know, I've noticed that she took off Maycroft and Mia McCauley. They've played an awful lot of football. You know, so taking them off sort of after the hour was probably what I expected, because the game looked relatively safe, because you know we were making chances. Hibs weren't really threatening, so I would have thought then that's what she would have done. But I mean, to me, the most noticeable one is that the last 2 substitutions that we made were on the 80th minute. We only with 10 minutes to go. As I said earlier, had we put the game, even scored another goal, I think Leah Eddy would probably get a little bit longer. She might have got 20 minutes as opposed to 10 minutes. And, you know, Lee Mingwen coming on for Wilco again, just to give Wilco a rest. Because he's played an awful lot of football as well with 10 minutes to go, because the game was done. You know what I mean? And there's JD saying that I'm hoping that's just a typo. Brookshire came on and ran about like a Tasmanian devil, and then looked gas for the last few minutes. I just think she's trying to get up to speed with the you know, with the Scottish game, which is why Alan, I think, you know, maybe giving her the full half hour might have helped a bit more in the long run. Yeah,
I think if we'd scored early in the second half, it would have changed the subs as well, because you might have seen Nick get a bit of a rest and Fallon come on. You know, we didn't use a full complement of subs yesterday, which is something we we criticised before in the past, you know, under Joe, but I think it's always tough to make a decision when the game's still a wee bit in the balance. I think it's disappointing playing against 10 and you're 2 goals up and you're still a wee bit weary, right? And worried that the game's not quite dead. You know, I think people always talk about a 2-0 lead being quite a dangerous lead because you don't know if to stick or twist. But, you know, I think, as I said at the start, you know, I think that win yesterday, as much as it was frustrating we didn't run in some more goals and make it a bigger win, I think that win's massive for the group. And especially Glasgow City comfortably won early in the day. You know, they're just no dropping points. We've absolutely no margin for error, and we need to make sure that the players are able to go and win these big games and take some of the pressure off and build the belief that we can go and hunt down that title.
Yeah. Wolf, explain the Hibs goal to me. I'm still puzzled.
I wish I could, Brian. I've at the time I thought, I don't know how that got in. I've watched it back a couple of times in the highlights, and I have got no. I mean, yeah, the ball bounced, you know, in front of Jenna, but it wasn't right in front of her. It was maybe it was a good 2 yards in front of her, and I think she just tried to scoop it up, and she got it all wrong. I don't know. It seemed to go through her. I don't know if it went under her or over her, or because the footage isn't particularly clear. But I've got no idea. And okay, it was in the 93rd minute. So really shouldn't have caused us any problem. There's still enough time for Hibs to get a free kick and just the keeper. I mean, I said to Alan and Demi, there's only one place this is going to keep us bombing us into the box, and anything can happen. And luckily we got ahead on it, got it clear, and the referee blew for time. We shouldn't have been in that situation. You know what I mean? We should have been out of sight, and even though not out of sight, it should have been a clean sheet. I've got no idea what Jenna was thinking of. And there's Paul saying gets really frustrated with Jenna. Silly mistakes are costing us. That's the problem with being a goalkeeper. You know what I mean? We say it all the time. You make a mistake, it's probably going to cost a goal. I don't think Jenna would be able to explain what happened. If you asked her, I don't think because she looked horrified when the ball went in. She just looked absolutely horrified. I don't think she even knows how that ball went past her.
No, very much so.
Jenna's been playing very, very well. You know, Jenna's been very good this season, and she's still had a couple of moments like that, and you can see it. You can see it genuinely affect. So, you know, as well says, she looked horrified. You can see her looking inconsolable at times when she makes a bad mistake, and everybody will remember the times she's made those terrible mistakes, because unfortunately there's been too many. But for balance, we also need to remember there are times Jenna Fife won games for Rangers with some big moments, and it's just unfortunate, you know, that people's judgment get understandably clouded by mistakes like yesterday's. Just thankful it didn't cost any drop points.
Yeah, that's the main thing. It didn't cost us, Alan. I'll just want to touch in with the Hibs team. Now, I'm looking through their bench, and there's at least 2 or 3 that I'm seeing on that bench that I would have regarded as starters. Were you surprised by Hibs and their lineup?
I was obviously surprised, and no sign of Siobhan Hunt on the squad. No, Kathleen McGovern was delighted to see that she wasn't starting. I believe she wasn't fit, and that's why she came off the bench. You know, I was told that she was quite heavily strapped up, you know, at least during the warm-up, so possibly she's not fit. You know, I was, in terms of what you expect, I expected to see more from Ellie Adams. It was mentioned in the comments that Ellie had Tegan Bowie in her back pocket. You know, Tegan Bowie's caused us a lot of problems on the wing. But Ellie had her locked down. You know, Nick never gave Rosie Livingston a sniff. So we managed Hibs danger players very well, and certainly they had a couple of big names missing, but you know, they're a very strong team, and we controlled them really well, even 11 against 11 yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. The rest of the results in the league were obviously Rangers 2, Hibs 1, Motherwell 0, Celtic 2, and Partick Thistle 0, Glasgow City 3. So Wolf, it gets us back into second, albeit you know, goal difference like we're only a couple of goals ahead of Celtic, but goal difference matters. Still 6 points behind Glasgow, though, isn't it? Big gap.
They just don't seem to be dropping points. I mean, Alan was at the Partick Thistle Glasgow City game, which I was listening to the Aberdeen game of the Scottish Cup coming down in the car, and they mentioned the fact there was the SWPL games, and it said Glasgow City 3-0 up away to Partick Thistle. I had to laugh because it's not really away because they play there as well. But yeah, it's technically an away game for them, so they're used to the surroundings. They're just not dropping points. That has to stop. They have to start dropping points, and that has to start on Sunday. Obviously we're playing Glasgow City on Sunday. It's another one of these fixture clashes. There's not really a lot not really a lot we can do. Rangers men's at Ibrox because we've got a European game on Thursday. The women always play on a Sunday, so I don't see any reason why the Glasgow City game couldn't have moved to the Saturday to stay the clash. However, they don't have a men's team to worry about, so they probably would not give a monkeys about us going to the game. So, but yeah, there's JD, 43 goals, 4 against is mental. If we don't beat City next game, I doubt we'll win the league this year. City, as I said, City have to start dropping points sometime. They just don't look. I thought the longer they stayed in the Champions League, they'd maybe start dropping points, but it didn't seem to affect them at all. Or Europe, sorry, not the Champions League, but Europe. So.
Alan, that's a mental stat. Only let in 4 goals. They are 11 or 9 goals ahead of anybody else in the league that conceded. That's an astounding stat, isn't it?
It is, and they've only got 4 points this season. They're unbeaten, and they're obviously in the semi-final of the cup as we are. So domestically, they've been pretty much untouchable, and we need to be absolutely on our game. Obviously, at the last minute decision, I went to the City game, because I could do both games yesterday, and City were quite a lot like us. They played quite well. No outstanding, but they missed a lot of chances. That could have been a much bigger score than 3-0. Lisa Forrest especially, that just like Laura Berry did, missed a couple of really golden chances that she should have buried. But if we give space to Glasgow City, they'll punish us. But I think we can get a bit of joy in the wide areas against them. They work hard, but I think there's a wee bit of opportunity for us in the wide areas, and we really need to be absolutely on top of our game all over the park to go to Petershill and win next week. We've had some big wins in recent years against City at Petershill. Massive wins, and we absolutely need that on Sunday.
Yeah, we certainly do. Just to go over the league table, folks, Glasgow City on top with 15 games, 41 points. Rangers second, 15 games, 34 points. Celtic third, 15 games, 34 points. Hearts, 14 games, 31 points. So they could technically join us on a tie for second. Hibs down in fifth on 15 games, 25. So there's a clear, as you said, Alan, you would effectively rule Hibs out of the league title now. They're far too far behind. So that is that, folks. It's a straight 2, 3 or 4 horse race, Wolf, isn't it? But the whole problem for everybody else is, though, as you just said, Glasgow aren't losing games; they're winning games and winning them quite comfortably. They're not even struggling.
Yeah, there's still a long way to go. As long as there's any team that's still within touching distance come the split, it's got to be considered, in the running. But Glasgow City have to start dropping. Two draws is the only points they've dropped this season. They've drawn 2 games. Alan says they're unbeaten. They've won the rest. And from what I've seen, and I haven't seen a lot of them, they've won them comfortably. They haven't had to play. They haven't had to sort of rely on decisions or play out their skin or whatever. It's one of those. If we can turn them over on Sunday, and we do have a decent record at Petershill against them, right? If we can turn them over on Sunday, it's how they react to that. I don't know who they play the following week, but it's how they react to that. You know what I mean? But we really need to start reeling them in, because it's all we've won 7 games in a row now in all competitions, and that's great, right? And we need to keep winning, but keeping winning might not be enough. They're at
home to Celtic the week after.
Well, there you go. That could be that could be massive. If we can beat them, that could put a bit of doubt in their mind. But then I never like to see that other lot winning, so I don't know what I'd want in that game.
Well, City's next games, they're obviously playing us on Sunday before they play their home against Celtic, as Brian said, but they've got Hibs in the Cup in the semi, and then they've got a Scottish Cup game in the last game before split is away at Motherwell. So we're only 3 more games to play before the league splits, and we saw how much difference the split can make. We saw big leads rained in. We saw big turnaround in points, and it's massive. The split obviously comes earlier after the change in the league this season. So we're only 10 teams is coming earlier, and that just puts more pressure on. But we need to make sure that pressure's on, and we go and take 3 points on Sunday, because absolutely nothing less than 3 points is good enough for what we need.
Talking about upcoming fixtures, Brian, Detective Bryce has deduced that a Scottish Cup tie against Partick's likely to be 4 o'clock as City have announced their game, which is also obviously at Petershill, as 1 o'clock the same day. So we'll be 4, which means there's another clash with the men's game at Ibrox. So I was kind of hoping for a nice nifty 12 o'clock kickoff against Thistle, and then you could potentially have done them both with a very fast black in between. But unfortunately, again, let's be honest, that would suit Thistle, because the last thing Leo wants a lot of Rangers fans at the game, to get behind the team. There'll still be fans there, because there are some people that that go to the women's games regardless, like Keith himself. You know what I mean, with the family. But it's just frustrating. It really is just frustrating to me that that we can't do both games. As I say, the game this weekend, there's no reason it couldn't be played on the Friday night or the Saturday, in my opinion. And I would have thought, given it's on BBC Alba, they would have potentially wanted that to get more eyes on it, because nobody's going to be able to watch it, because the majority of the Rangers support will be Ibrox. But it is what it is. I suppose let's just hope they can beat City, then go on and beat Thistle, and then just keep winning games of football and see where it takes us.
Yeah. It's almost going over old ground, isn't it, folks? This kick-off times and fixture clashes. It's rather annoying, but as Wolf says, it is what it is. Fixtures next week: Aberdeen versus Montrose, Motherwell, Hibs versus Hamilton, Celtic versus Montrose, Hearts versus Partick Thistle, and obviously Glasgow City versus Rangers. Alan, what are you expecting next week? Are you confident of getting a result at Petershill?
I'm fairly confident we can. I'm fairly confident we can do it. I'm reasonably confident that we will do it. I don't see any of the other rivals dropping points next week. I think it'd be a big shock if anybody drop points unexpectedly. So the only gain we're going to make is by reining in City by 3 points, and I'm hoping that makes it easier for the players, in a sense. There's no doubt, there's no thing in the back of your mind that making sure we don't get beat is good. Making sure we get out of there with at least a point. A point's not good to Rangers next week. We've got to start making a dent in that, and not just taking points off City and going 3 points closer, but just showing the other teams in the league Glasgow City can actually be beat. You can score against them. You can shut them out, because if we get teams that are level in points with us who will also have aspirations of winning the league, they need to be going and beating Glasgow City as well. So we're next up for City, and we absolutely have to be going there and doing it. But I've no doubt that it won't be easy, and if we do win, it won't be an easy win, because that's just not how we do it. Even at Petershill, it's rarely comfortable. Yeah,
Wolf. I mean, you're the eternal optimist when it's Rangers, aren't you? And you're always confident we're going to win. How do you feel about Sunday?
Oh, it's going to be difficult, but somebody's got to beat them sometime. Why shouldn't they be us on Sunday? You know what I mean? If we're on it, we need to be on it. As Alan says, it won't be easy. I mean, I see Paul's jumped in with a 2-0 prediction. I will take that right here, right now. I'll take that, no problem at all. Absolutely, take that. All ends up. I think the weather conditions could have a lot to do with it because Petersall's horrendous when the wind's blowing. It's a horrendous place for football when the wind's blowing. As, to be fair, quite a lot of the women's grounds are because Cole for Aberdeen plays terrific. Meadowbank's ridiculous when it's windy. But Broadway's not too clever either, to be fair. But yeah, the conditions could play quite a lot into it. But we need to be up for it. We need to go for it. We need to be a bit more clinical in front of goal. We missed a pile of chances yesterday. Yesterday we could have been, as we said, we could have been out of sight without playing particularly great. Without playing quite within ourselves yesterday. We could have been out of sight some of the chances that we missed. So if we can be a wee bit more clinical, because we won't get the same amount of chances I wouldn't imagine off a City. So, and as you highlighted, they've only lost 4 goals this season. So score first, see how they react to that, because they're not used to going behind. So, but yeah, I'm quite confident we'll beat them.
Are we predicting, Alan?
2-1, Katie first goal. 2-1 win for us. Let's just be clear on that.
Absolutely. I knew where you were going. Wolf?
Sneaky 1-0.
Sneaky 1-0, yeah. I'm torn on this one. I really am. Oh, I can see us conceding. I can also see us scoring. I'm going to join Alan. I'm going to go a sneaky 2-1. Sneaky 2-1, me and Macaulay, first goal. There we go.
If you want the goal scorer, it'll be a first ever Rangers goal for Caliste Brookshire.
Oh, that's a brave one. That's brave.
I
thought you were going with the cast iron bet of Katie Wilkinson there, but no, you've went left.
No.
Speaking of Brookshire, Alan, do you think she can play that game and get a bit of joy with her pace? Because pace in these games is crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely, and if City line up the way they did yesterday, I don't know if that's typically how they've been lining up, but they played a back 3, so that certainly gives a chance to get in behind. Hopefully, certainly with the pace of Mia. Laura's no slouch. We've got Caliste there to come on, especially if they start getting a bit tired. So hopefully getting behind, but they've got some of the best defenders in the league. I think the girl Kimberly Smith's probably the best centre back in the league. She massively impressed everybody last season when City signed her, and she strolled through the game yesterday. Amy Muir's very, very, very experienced and tucking in more than playing out and out fullback now. And then you've got Emma Brownlee. We all know how good Emma is. So certainly the Glasgow City might just have that issue where a point's better for them than it is for us. Yeah. So if they just make sure they don't concede and know they'll probably get chances against us, that might make it more difficult to get in behind. If they stay compact, but hopefully they'll come out and give us space to play in behind. I think it's something we've clearly looked to do all season, is get in behind it in the channels, and hopefully we can double up with Ellie and Nick getting forward and supporting the wingers. It could be a massive gamble that we start Caliste. I don't think Leanne will do that, but that's the sort of gamble. It could go very, very well or very wrong. But we've obviously gave Caliste a 2.5-year deal, so we're obviously very high on her potential. So I think she'll get blooded into the team with a lot of care, but a lot of excitement as well.
Absolutely. But folks, that'll do us tonight. We've covered a lot of ground tonight, and obviously it's a big game next week. We will be back next Monday night to look over the Glasgow City Rangers game. Massive game for both clubs. Hopefully the Rangers women come out with a victory and claw that gap down from 6 to 3. That would be very nice. difficult game, but we always go into games thinking that we're going to get a win, as Wolf always says. But folks, in 20 minutes' time, we'll be back with the members' show at 7:30. I've luckily been substituted out tonight because I would have been triple dunting tonight, and I've only double dunted, so I'm substituted for tonight, thankfully. And then we're back at 9 o'clock with the Rabble Wrestling, so tune in for that as well. Ian and Connor and Alex are usually the hosts there, so tune in for that. Alan, thank you very much.
No, thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Wolf, pleasure as always.
Aye, it's a pleasure, guys. I thought Alan was itching to come in with something there, but no, pleasure, guys, as always. Brian, thank you very much. Quality hosting, as always.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. And thanks to everybody in the comments. It's nice to see, folk taking an interest in the women's side of things. As I say, it seems to be all things are going a little bit more smoother on both the men's side and the women's side, so that's good. Hopefully the women can maybe sneak in a couple of more signings, Alan, before the window shuts. Is that a distinct possibility?
It's a distinct possibility. I'm pretty certain that we're still looking to improve the squad, but we're also probably being quite picky. So I don't think we'll just add for the sake of adding numbers, but it would be nice to see maybe one or two other reinforcements. But it's also just as important that we don't lose anybody. So I think as long as we could in January maybe not signing anybody else, but if we get one or two more players back, then it massively strengthens the squad in that regard. And it's a bit of a cliche saying a returning player from injury is like a new player, but given how long some of them have been out, it will give the same sort of lift as a new player.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Well, as I say, folks, 7:30 is the member show, 9 o'clock is the wrestling, and then we'll be back next Monday night at 6:30 to go over the big game next Sunday. So thanks to everybody for joining us. Thanks to Wolf and Alan. And we will be back next Monday, and we'll speak very, very soon.